Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, April 28th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can always find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Friday in baseball. First up, it's the Kansas City Royals taking on the Minnesota Twins. We're going to see Jordan Lyles and Pablo Lopez on the mound in this one. Pablo Lopez, definitely a disappointing start in his last game against the Nationals. He gave up those 5 earned runs and 8 base hits in only 4 innings of work, but he didn't give up a home run in that game. He had 6 strikeouts, so he's still missing those bats. And overall this season, he's pitching well. He's got 39 strikeouts and 30 innings of work. Only 2 home runs allowed with a 3.00 ERA. I think he bounces back here against a weak Royals lineup that's struggling against right-handed pitching this season. On the other side, Jordan Lyles, not really trustworthy. He's given up 5 home runs in his last 2 starts against the Angels and Rangers. His strikeout numbers, they're down this year, 23 Ks and 31 1/3 innings of work. He definitely has issues with the long ball and giving up sharp contact. I think the Twins do enough offensively here to grab the win and the run line cover. So give me Minnesota laying the 1.5 runs at home. Next up, it's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Detroit Tigers. Grayson Rodriguez and Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound in this one. Both pitchers, we saw the same exact pitching matchup on April 23rd, and both pitchers pitched well in that game. Grayson Rodriguez went 5 innings of shutout ball with 6 strikeouts. Eduardo Rodriguez went 7 innings of one-hit baseball, shutout ball with 6 strikeouts himself. The Orioles overall, though, have the much better lineup, and they're hitting lefties very well overall. 7th in the league in team OPS. Isolated power is ranked 8th. While the Tigers against right-handed pitching have not had much success this year at all. We saw that last year as well for Detroit. So I got to take the Baltimore Orioles at a really good price. I think Grayson Rodriguez is the better starting pitcher. I'm going to take the Orioles on the money line here. Next up, it's the Miami Marlins hosting the Chicago Cubs. We're going to see Marcus Stroman and Jesus Luzardo on the mound. Both starters off to good starts in 2023. Stroman with a 2.17 ERA. Definitely coming off his worst start in his last game, but that was against the Los Angeles Dodgers. We know one of the best lineups in baseball against righties. Now you're facing off with the Miami Marlins, who are starting to struggle yet again against those right-handed pitchers in 2023. And the Marlins, Jesus Luzardo, his last couple of starts, not his best work either. His last 8 2/3 innings, giving up 14 base hits, 7 earned runs, 2 home runs along the way. And it really wasn't even the toughest of matchups for him. He faced the Giants, who are near the bottom of the league in most offensive numbers against lefties. And the Guardians, who last year we know, weren't a great lineup against lefties. Not a lot of power in that lineup, but they had 2 home runs off Luzardo. So now you're facing a Cubs lineup that has actually done really well against Southpaws this year. 5th in baseball in isolated power, 6th in the league in team OPS. Pretty high walk rate as well against lefties. So I think Stroman is a little bit more trustworthy in a game like this. I think the Cubs have the better lineup and a slightly better bullpen as well. So give me the Chicago Cubs on the road on the money line. Next up, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Washington Nationals. No official lineup for this game right now, and MLB.com does not have an official starter listed for either team, but ESPN has Rich Hill and Chad Cole going in this game, and if that's the matchup, I do like the Pittsburgh Pirates quite a bit in this one. Rich Hill, although he had a really rough start to the year, and although he may not be my favorite starting pitcher to back, he is pitching very well in his last few starts, his last 3 starts to be exact. He's gone 6 innings against the Astros, 2-run ball. He went 6 innings at Coors Field against the Rockies, 1-run ball with 7 strikeouts. And then his last start against the Reds, 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. You're facing a Nationals team that does a really good job of limiting strikeouts, but they also don't have a ton of power against those lefties going into Thursday's games. They're dead last in baseball in isolated power. So I do think Rich Hill could put together another strong outing here. And then facing Chad Cole on the other side, an ERA at 7.36 this season. Coming off his best start of the year, but still walked 4 batters in that game and only went 3 2/3 innings against the Minnesota Twins. It was really the offense and the run support backed him up early, enough for him to put together some decent innings. But the Pirates crush righties. They've done so all year, and they're top 10 in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against those righties. So I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Pirates here on the road on the money line. Next up, it's the Seattle Mariners taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Luis Castillo and Alek Manoah are your starters. For me personally, I've got to see Alek Manoah pitch well and have a really good start at Rogers Center before I can back him in the Blue Jays at home when he's on the mound as a starter, as we've seen 2 starts at home for him, and he's given up 3 earned runs and 5 walks, a homer against the Tigers, and then 7 earned, 9 base hits, 4 walks, and a homer against the Rays. 2 not very good starts for Manoah. Last time out against the Yankees, he was exceptional. He went 7 innings of shutout baseball, but that was on the road. At home, I've watched both of those starts. He was slipping all over the mound. His footing was off. Could be because of the new Rogers Center, but still, I got with Luis Castillo on the other side pitching well. The Mariners are 4-1 on the money line when he's been on the mound to start. I got to take Seattle in a game like this at a really good price. So I think Manoah will be able to figure it out, and he could put together a strong outing here. But until I see it at home, I can't back him. Give me the Seattle Mariners on the money line. Next up, it's the Atlanta Braves taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Max Fried and David Peterson, pair of southpaws on the mound. And this one, Max Fried, a .60 ERA in his first 3 starts of the season. His last 2 games against the Padres and Astros, 2 very tough lineups. He's going to combine 11 2/3 innings, no earned runs, no home runs, only 9 strikeouts. I'd like to see those strikeout numbers rise a little bit, but those are 2 teams that do a pretty good job at limiting whiffs, and the Mets do so as well. So as long as Fried's keeping the ball on the ground, limiting that sharp contact against the Mets team, it's had inconsistent numbers against lefties. I think Fried can put together another quality start. And David Peterson, really tough to trust him in a game like this. He's got an ERA above 7. He's facing a Braves team that notoriously hits lefties very well. I don't like him in this spot. Give me the Atlanta Braves on the money line. Next up, it's the Boston Red Sox hosting the Cleveland Guardians. Shane Bieber and Nick Pivetta are your starters. The big thing that Nick Pivetta's had issues with in his game, in his career, has been the home run ball. He's got really good strikeout stuff, and even this year, he's got 23 strikeouts and 19 2/3 innings. However, 4 home runs allowed, at least 1 home run in 3 of his first 4 starts. And at Fenway Park, that's always an issue. You got to worry about giving up the home run ball. But in this game, he's facing a Cleveland Guardians lineup that just doesn't have a ton of power. So I think this can actually be a good matchup for Pivetta. The Guardians are ranked 27th in baseball in isolated power, only better than the Royals, Reds, and Nationals. We know some of the weakest lineups in baseball. So Pivetta, like I said, he's got good strikeout stuff, and I think he could be able to put together a good outing here. And on the other side, Shane Bieber just hasn't looked the same, and I don't like the fact that he only has 22 strikeouts in 30 2/3 innings of work. Well under a strikeout per inning. And as of late against the Nationals and the Marlins, 2 pretty weak lineups there, he, in a combined 11 2/3 inning, gave up 13 base hits, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, 5 walks, and only 8 strikeouts. And those were both Guardians losses. In fact, the Guardians are 1-4 on the money line in the 5 starts that Bieber's had this season. I think the value's on the home team here. Give me the Boston Red Sox on the money line. Next up, it's Zach Eflin and the Tampa Bay Rays taking on Lucas Giolito and the Chicago White Sox. We saw this same pitching matchup on April 23rd. In that game, Eflin was the better starter. He went 5 innings of 1-run ball with 4 strikeouts and a 4-1 Tampa Bay win. Lucas Giolito, a pitcher that I don't really like in a matchup like this, struggled. He went 7 innings, so he was able to give the White Sox some innings, but gave up 4 earned runs and 2 home runs, as well as 2 walks in that game. And so far, the White Sox are 1-4 on the money line in the 5 starts that Giolito's had. And I do think Giolito's going to be able to put together a good campaign for Chicago, but the Tampa Bay Rays are just a really bad matchup for him. They're a really patient lineup. They can work the count. They can get on base via the walk. They also have a lot of power in the lineup, and they're not right now number 2 in baseball in isolated power, number 1 in team OPS. They have a pretty low strikeout rate, so I think Giolito struggles yet again. I think Eflin could give up a few runs, but I still think the Rays will be enough here to grab the W in the end. So give me the Tampa Bay Rays on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the New York Yankees taking on the Texas Rangers. Clark Schmidt and Jacob deGrom are your starters. Now, to me, there's 2 ways of looking at this game and looking at this money line price. You could say, wow, we're getting the New York Yankees at plus money, not just plus money, plus 140 on the opening money line price. Or you could say, wow, we're getting Jacob deGrom at minus 165 when we're used to getting him at minus 200 plus. To me, I'm leaning towards the latter as being more valuable, especially with the Yankees' struggles offensively, Aaron Judge being a little bit banged up, and Clark Schmidt not having a good start to the season for New York. He had a pretty decent start last time. He gave up no earned runs. He gave up 3 unearned runs against the Blue Jays, but still, the Yankees 1-4 on the money line in his first 5 starts of the season. And Schmidt, ERA above 6, facing a Rangers lineup that's crushing righties this year. They are 5th in baseball in team OPS against righties. They are 5th in baseball in isolated power against righties. So deGrom, 3.04 ERA, 43 strikeouts, and only 26 2/3 innings of work. The Rangers have not lost a game that deGrom has started this year, so 5-0 on that money line. I think they grab another win here, so I'm going to take Jacob deGrom at minus 165. We won't see prices like this in most games. Give me the Rangers on the money line. Next up, it's the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Tyler Anderson and Wade Miley on the mound in this one. two lefties, and the Brewers' offensive numbers against lefties have not been good. We saw that last year. We're seeing it to start this season. The power number's not too bad, but Tyler Anderson's really struggled himself. He's got an ERA above 7. He's given up at least 5 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, at least 7 base hits in each of those games, 5 home runs combined in those 3 starts, 6 walks to 7 strikeout ratio. Not going to get it done, and I still think the Brewers will get to him. Even at home, even though they struggle against lefties overall, I still think the Brewers get to him for a few runs. And Wade Miley on the other side is pitching well so far this year, a 1.96 ERA. But you're facing an Angels lineup that crushes lefties. You look at their isolated power numbers, ranked 6th in baseball. Team OPS is 4th in the league. Their strikeout rate pretty low at 19.7%. So this Angels lineup has a good matchup here with Wade Miley. Even though that 1.96 ERA looks good on paper, the strikeout number is only 17 Ks in 23 innings. Coming off start giving up a home run against the Red Sox last time out, I think there's some regression concerns for Wade Miley going forward. So give me the over here. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to see Aaron Nola and Framber Valdez as your starters in this one. Now, the Phillies hit righties better than lefties, at least to start the season. They've been pretty decent against lefties, too. But Framber Valdez, one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball, coming off another start where he went 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, another quality start. We know Framber went on this big quality start streak last year. I think he puts together another quality outing here. And Aaron Nola, just really tough to trust right now, even against an Astros team that hits lefties better than righties. Nola's given up a good amount of base hits, base runners in general, home runs, and earned runs. I mean, he's got an ERA of 5.4. His strikeout numbers have been inconsistent and overall not good this year. I mean, his last 13 innings, only 7 strikeouts against the Rockies and Reds of all teams. So I think the Astros get to Nola. I think they're big favorites for good reason. So give me the Houston Astros on the run line. Next up, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies. We're going to see Kyle Freeland and Merrill Kelly on the mound in this one. Now, I think Diamondbacks have the better starter, the better lineup, and the better bullpen in this game, and I like their chances on the money line here on the road. Arizona, we see, Merrill Kelly against the Rockies last year, overall 22 2/3 innings with a 1.59 ERA, and at Coors Field, where we know most pitchers don't do too well. Actually, Merrill Kelly had a good start there. 7 innings, 1 run baseball, so a 1.29 ERA against the Rockies at Coors. Last year, Kyle Freeland, mixed numbers against the Diamondbacks. He only had 2 starts against them. He went 12 1/3 innings with 6 earned runs, 12 base hits, 4 walks, a home run, and 8 strikeouts. So not a ton of strikeouts. The Diamondbacks were able to get a good amount of base runners on him and a 4.38 ERA against Arizona. Like I said, I think the Diamondbacks this year have an even better lineup, and their bullpen's a lot more trustworthy as well. So give me Arizona on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see Luis Cessa and Kyle Muller as your starters. No official lineout, though, so we could see a pitching change. If Kyle Muller is on the mound for Oakland, I do think this is actually a decent spot for him. There's not a lot of great spots for Oakland Athletics starters or relievers this year. They've been one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball, but they're facing a Cincinnati Reds team here that struggled against lefties on the road. That is for sure. When you look at their numbers, their isolated power is ranked 29th against lefties on the road. Their team OPS is ranked 28th. They have a strikeout rate at 28%, which is in the top 10 for the highest strikeout rates. Their walk percentage is at 6.1%, which is one of the lower walk rates in baseball. So Kyle Muller could put together a good outing here, and Luis Cessa is tough to back in this game. He's got an ERA of 10.8 this season. He's 0-3, and the Reds have lost all 4 of his games that he started this year. Even the last game, where he wasn't too bad against the Pirates. He went 4 2/3 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs. The offense was not there to back him up, and I don't think the offense is going to be there too much this game, at least early on. I don't trust his Oakland A's bullpen, so give me the Oakland A's in the first 5 innings in this one. In our final game for Friday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to see Jack Flaherty going for St. Louis. No official starter listed for the Dodgers, but I am seeing Dustin May listed on ESPN, so he could very well be the guy that goes in this one. Now, it's tough to back the Cardinals right now. I mean, this team looks lost both at the plate, in the field. They're making mistakes and errors in the outfield, dropping baseballs. Their pitching staff hasn't been the best either. It's tough to back them. This is certainly not looking like the same Cardinals team we saw last year. And, Jack Flaherty's been super inconsistent this year. He's got a 3.29 ERA, but his strikeout numbers have been all over the place. His walk numbers all over the place. 19 walks this season in 27 1/3 innings. And now he's given up at least 1 home run in each of his last 3 starts. You're facing a Dodgers team that crushes righties and has a better pitching staff to go with it. So to me, I'm going to take the Dodgers or pass on this game altogether. Give me Los Angeles on the run line. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.